are again with another topic, that is kingdom fungi. Okay. Now you know, this topic is very common. Many of you know about this topic, and today we are going to discuss about it. First, let us try to discuss about the characteristics of fungi group. Now, so far we have learnt about Protista. In Protista, all the organisms were unicellular. Okay. Now, from fungi group, the organism which are included in this group or kingdom, they are multicellular as well as unicellular. Okay. And this class of group or this group organism, they also show the certain characteristics of plant and animal. Okay. And so basically these organisms, they are heterotrophic in nature. Of course they show certain plant characteristics, but then their mode of nutrition is heterotrophic. That means since they do not have chlorophyll in them, but they have cell wall. Okay. And this cell wall is only present when it shows the characteristics of plants. In case of plant cell only, cell wall is present. But in fungi, there are certain organisms which have the cell wall. Okay. And mostly the organisms are they are heterotrophic in nature because they show what kind of nutrition? Heterotrophic nutrition. That is, they cannot prepare their own food, and that is why they feed on the other animals. Basically, they are saprophytic in nature. So, they are heterotrophic in nature in nutrition. Okay. And in heterotrophic also, they are saprophytic. Saprophytic means these organisms basically feed on dead and decaying organisms. Okay. And that is why they also contribute in the cleanliness of the environment. Okay. This kind of organism. At the same time, these organisms basically they grow on dead animals or dead and decaying matter. Okay. And the examples are very common example you will get to see mushroom. Mushroom is a very common example. At the same time, we have mucor, rhizopus, and yeast. Rhizopus you can see at home also you can grow the rhizopus. That is, if you have a piece of bread, just a piece slice of bread, okay, then just sprinkle a little water on it and keep it either you can just cover it with the polythene. Inside the polythene you can keep, and just keep it under the bed where there is no light, no sunlight and no air. Of course it will receive little amount of air, but then gradually means it will not get enough of sunlight and the other the other material which it needs in order to remain proper. So you need to keep it under somewhere which is very dark place. Okay. Leave it for 1 or 2 days. After that you will find on the slice of bread you will get to see some greenish cotton type of structure has been developed, and it is nothing, it is rhizopus. We will be discussing about the structure of rhizopus little later. So what I am saying, we are discussing about the characteristics of this fungi group. Okay. So as I said, they are not autotrophic because they cannot prepare they do not have chlorophyll, so they can't prepare their food. Okay. And that's why they are saprophytic in nature. They are heterotrophic. Under heterotrophic, they are saprophytic. That means they feed on basically dead and decaying matter. Okay. So now we will discuss about, in your book also in page number 30 you will see the diagram of rhizopus is given. What is rhizopus? Rhizopus is basically a kind of fungi which you can get to see on the piece of bread molds. Bread. Okay. If you just sprinkle water as I just said now, you can do it at home. Please do this. Try to do as an experiment you can do, and you can also get to see the result what it is. Okay. So here we are going to discuss about the structure of rhizopus. Now you can see here I have drawn the diagram of rhizopus. Now rhizopus basically they are commonly known as bread molds. Okay. Now you see here this kind of structure which is running parallel to the ground. They are called the stolon. They are called stolon, and this rhizopus, like no, these are called they are hyphae. Okay, hyphae. What is hyphae basically? It is made up of thread-like structure and one hypha. Like singular is hypha, and many if they are there, then it is called hyphae. Okay, and this group of hyphae together they are known as this, like 1, 2, 3. Many hyphae are there, so they are together called known as mycelium. You will see the term in the book. Okay, so they are together known as mycelium. There are certain stolon, okay, which move upward erect. So they are known as sporangiophore. And sporangiophore, when they are moving upward or they are going erect, then on top of it there will be a round structure which is known as sporangium. And this sporangium contains the spores, which these spores are responsible for the reproduction of the rhizopus. Okay, and you will find here on the ground there are certain stolon which have root-like structure. No? Certain branches of roots are growing, so they are called rhizoids. Fine. So what is stolon? A certain hyphae which run parallel to the ground, they are known as stolon, and certain hyphae which move upward or erect, they are known as sporangiophore. Sporangiophore, on top of it they have a round structure like they have a round structure which is known as sporangium. Round body at the tip of it, this is known as sporangium, and sporangium contains the spores which are responsible for the reproduction. Okay, now we will talk about the nutrition of this rhizopus. Now, as I said, like no, rhizopus basically they are saprophytic in nature. Saprophytic means they feed on dead and decaying matter. Okay, and so for this, what happens? Basically, these are hyphae. Okay, so this hyphae they secrete a kind of digestive juice which break down the starch, and further this starch break down into simple sugar which is called glucose. Now this glucose is being absorbed by the body in order to to grow and also to get energy in order to do different activities in the body. Now the extra amount of glucose is stored in the form of glycogen. Okay, so in bread mold, digestion occurs outside the body and the nutrients are absorbed by the hyphae. So these hyphae are responsible for absorbing the nutrients. Fine. Now what did I say? Like together hyphae are known as, when they are collectively, there are many hyphae, they are known as mycelium. And this entire structure is called the rhizopus. And we have discussed about the mode of nutrition. Their mode of nutrition is saprophytic. How do they digest their food? With the help of these hyphae, they secrete some kind of digestive juice which break down the starch into simple sugar, that is glucose. Glucose is being absorbed by the hyphae again. Okay, and all these processes happening outside the body. And this hyphae are responsible for absorbing the nutrients in their body, and then gradually the extra amount of glucose is stored in the form of glycogen, right? So now we come to the respiration. Now respiration, in case of, as you can see, they respire aerobically, means they take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Okay, so that is their mode of respiration. And how do they reproduce? They reproduce with the help of spores in the sporangium. Okay, the spores are present, and after a certain period of time, these spores, sporangium, they burst, and the spores comes out. They scatter in different places, and that's how they reproduce in numbers. Okay, and so the reproduction takes place in this way through spores from the sporangium. Okay, now we move to the next topic, that is the useful fungi. There are certain useful fungi and there are certain harmful fungi. Now in the book you can see near about, yeah, 6 usefulness of fungi are given. What are they? There are certain fungi which acts like decomposers. What are decomposers? Decomposers basically feed on the dead decaying matter and which cleans the environment. So they are responsible for cleaning the environment also. Okay. Now at the same time they make certain food items also make. That is, they make yeast. And where do we use yeast? Basically we use yeast in fermentation. Also making an alcohol, and also we use the yeast for baking cakes, right? So fungi are also responsible for making food item like yeast and alcohol. There are certain grains which are fermented. Okay, by putting this yeast, they are fermented. They are left to stay, to get spoiled for a long period of time, and then finally due to by certain process these grains are converted, or they are made into alcohols. And there are, you must have heard about wine and beer. Now wine and beer are again, they are fermented with the help of yeast, and wine is prepared from the grapes and beer is prepared from the barley. Okay, by fermenting. Fermentation, right? At the same time, food item like yeast, as I said, also to make in idli dosa, to make it sour in taste. Okay. Then for cake making, then manufacture of medicine also. There are certain fungi which are used in manufacture of medicine like Penicillium rotatum. Okay. Then fungi are source of food, like for example mushroom. They are edible fungi and they are highly rich in protein. Then we have penicillium, that is just now I have told about penicillium. There are certain fungi which are used for making or producing medicine. So penicillium is used to produce cheese with unique flavor and texture. Aspergillus is used to preserve food. Aspergillus is also a kind of organism, fungi, which is used to preserve, which is used for preserving the food items. Okay. So these are the usefulness of fungi, and now we will discuss about the harmful. Of course, every entity in this world has got its merit and demerit, usefulness and harmfulness. Fine. So again, fungi, there are certain harmfulness of fungi, that is, they cause diseases. You must have seen ringworms, neckworms. Okay, so at times what happens due to sweat and all, when the sweat is not being dried up, or not, we are not wiping it off. So what happens? This sweat also contains certain fungi, and which causes rings in our maybe neck. Sometimes you must have seen on the toes also, then even in the fingers, because of the too much of moist. And we know that these fungi, they grow only in the moist places, basically in the moist places. Okay. Then these fungi are also responsible for spoilage of food. Okay. There are fungi like this penicillium and aspergillus, and if they grow in the food, in the prepared food, cooked food, fresh food, then the food will get spoiled. Okay. Then there is another harmfulness of fungi, that is spoilage of goods. Also fungi are responsible for spoiling of goods. Okay. And if certain goods which have moisture in them and they are not being taken care of, then these aspergillus and penicillium, they will go there and they will spoil the foodstuffs. Okay. So here we complete the harmfulness of fungi, and you there is a very famous scientist known as Sir Alexander Fleming, who is also known as bacteriologist. Okay, and he studied on like while working on the culture of disease-causing staphylococci bacteria, he found that Penicillium notatum, what we just now discussed about penicillium, this penicillium has the capability or the tendency to kill this particular bacteria, that is staphylococci bacteria, and it will inhibit the disease caused by staphylococci bacteria. Okay, so here we complete the topic fungi, and you will do this exercise given based on this kingdom, fungi kingdom. You will complete it in the book itself. At the same time, I have prepared certain questions related to the previous two kingdoms, that is Protista and Monera. Now I will be sending you the link in the description box. Please go through it and answer the following question. There are around 11 questions I have prepared for you based on topic Kingdom Monera and Protista. Okay, and please do this work, send me for correction, and also keep studying and read the chapter carefully, so that if any term you are missed out or not understood, you can ask me. Till then, take care, bye bye, God bless you.